Out now in cinemas is Disclosure Day, with director Steven Spielberg returning to the sci-fi genre since his last effort with War of the Worlds from 2005. Produced for $115 million, they made use of locations in Atlanta, New Jersey and New York. The script started development in the summer of 2023, with Steven putting together a 50 to 60 page story outline that would serve as a basis for Disclosure Day. His idea came about due to an article from 2017 called Glowing Auras and Black Money, the Pentagon's mysterious UFO program, published in the New York Times, which rekindled his interest in the subject. Come April of the following year, it was publicly announced that Spielberg would be working with David Koepp to produce the screenplay. Koepp would develop 42 drafts for the film's screenplay, apparently the most of his career. David said with a constant draft of the script, it became his story too. He would further add, "At first you're always trying to be deferential to where the idea came from. With Jurassic Park, I'm trying to respect the book as much as possible. War of the Worlds was the same. But in this, I'm helping this guy tell his story, even as it grew into my story too." The reviews so far have been a mix of highs and lows, with some saying it's Spielberg's best work for years and others being very much unimpressed with it. The Hollywood Reporter called it spellbinding, an essential addition to Spielberg's rich body of work, while also highly praising Emily Blunt's performance as simply breathtaking and never more magnetic. Empire awarded it 4 stars out of 5, saying, "A masterfully executed sci-fi conspiracy thriller that beams us right back into Spielberg's heartland of eerie wonder, everyman and woman heroes, and optimistic uplift." The Telegraph's Robbie Collin called it unquestionably a big swing that only glancingly connects, finding the plot woolly and the tone a bungled mix of solemn and silly. The BBC also gave the film a negative review, awarding it 2 stars out of 5, calling it a flimsy, outdated car chase thriller with no ideas about aliens that we haven't heard before. For the film's story, we find cybersecurity specialist Daniel Kellner, played by Josh O'Connor, stealing secret information detailing UFO and alien landings on Earth dating back decades from a secret arm of the US government known as the Wardex Corporation. Wardex CEO Noah Scanlon, played by Colin Firth, detects the theft and has Daniel branded as a foreign spy. Daniel goes into hiding with his girlfriend Jane, played by Eve Hewson. In Kansas City, television meteorologist Margaret Fairchild, played by Emily Blunt, is preparing for work when a cardinal bird enters her home. It briefly observes her and then flies away. The incident awakens latent psychic abilities, allowing Margaret to understand people's emotions and read their minds, and unconsciously communicate in other languages. During a live weather broadcast, Margaret unexpectedly begins speaking in an unknown language. Footage of the broadcast goes viral and catches the attention of Wardex, which identifies the language as extraterrestrial in origin. Margaret soon finds out she's being hunted by Scanlon's agents and goes into hiding, but is drawn to Daniel's whereabouts. I'm sorry to say that Disclosure Day is not good, and a massive disappointment, considering it's Steven Spielberg's return to science fiction, even though he has demonstrated before he is extremely competent with the genre. The biggest problem with the film is the script by David Koepp, who has been consistently average/bad for many years. The trailer proudly advertises his name. What, the guy who wrote Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Inferno, the remake of The Mummy, Dial of Destiny and Jurassic World Rebirth? The latest Jurassic World movie did well financially thanks to the IP, and people love dinosaurs, but the script was utter rubbish, so I was slightly concerned before seeing it. With Disclosure Day, you get a sense pretty early on you've been dumped into a middle act of a trilogy, but you've missed the first film and there isn't going to be a third. The film plays out by dropping lots of exposition to explain prior events, to inform you so you don't feel lost, but that ultimately doesn't make it interesting. I would like to see what happened before, as that sounds far more exciting than what's happening now on screen. The plotting of the film is messy. It wants all this chaos to keep the story moving forward as events unfold, with Daniel on the run, but it fumbles it due to its pacing. There are news reports of World War III potentially breaking out, which are poorly handled, as you are only delivered snippets of information, and one scene featuring people raiding a shop for supplies might as well not be there. It's intended to be a bit ambiguous as to why this war is happening, but it just results in a confusing mess. Disclosure Day is essentially a chase movie, that's it. Daniel Kellner is on the run with his girlfriend Jane, with intentions to get the secret information out to the world, with Noah and his team constantly behind him, and Daniel is guided by Hugo Wakefield, played by Colm Domingo, who essentially is the puppet master who is pushing for disclosure. Emily Blunt's character Margaret gets pulled into the drama as she starts to exhibit these abilities to speak other languages and read people's minds all of a sudden, and how this happens is ridiculous to say the least, and she has to figure out how this happened and gets connected with Daniel. The runtime is 2 hours and 25 minutes. The film has no business being that long. You could easily cut out 45 minutes and it would probably improve the movie. The idea of someone wanting to leak information about UFOs and extraterrestrials has been done before, and I have no problem with that idea being explored again with a new angle and twist to it all, but it gets tiring very quickly and the payoff is underwhelming. With this being a Steven Spielberg film, you go in with certain expectations. This is the guy who directed Close Encounters, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T. and Jurassic Park, etc. But the end result is a movie that feels like a TV movie. It has no scope to it. They shot it on 35mm film. Great to know. But it's a pretty ugly looking movie throughout. It's got that cold look to it and lens flares everywhere, very much like War of the Worlds. 75% of the film is shot in close-ups. You get no sense of the wider world. It feels pretty much boxed in. They even advertised this movie for IMAX presentations and even 70mm blow-up prints. There was no reason to see this movie in IMAX. Its photography and style of direction does not warrant the extra ticket price to see it on an even larger screen. It's not a pretty film to look at. What I liked about the movie is the performances. All the actors are consistently good, with Emily Blunt being the highlight. She does an incredible job, and that's down to Spielberg's talent as a director. He is the master of getting great performances out of people. The guy can direct traffic and make it interesting. One of the highlights is seeing Daniel and Margaret have to escape from a car that is wedged into a train. A really exciting scene, and there are some classic Spielberg moments, but those are few and far between. Outside of the big car chase sequence, that's kind of it when it comes to something action-orientated or thrilling that happens. The film cost around $115 million. No idea where that money went. Must have been just to pay for the talent, as the money is not on screen, that's for sure. I think all of us are happy to hear a new John Williams score, and at 94 years old, he is still with it and producing his usual high quality of work. But the score by design is intended to be less intrusive on the film. Spielberg revealed that Williams said, "This time I'm going to write music not to lead the film. I'm going to write music under the film to give it that slight nudge forward." The director pointed to Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Indiana Jones as a benchmark for Williams' more symphonic, theme-driven style. When listening to the score, there are often times when there's no music for big chunks of the movie, and when it does pop up, it sounds like Williams' work from the 1990s for like a political thriller, with flourishes of science fiction musical cues. It's not a bad score by any means. It's not really there to get your attention like Close Encounters, and doesn't really give a lasting impression. It's just some well-executed music that Williams can produce with little effort, as he is the master, but it's not going to be a constant rotation on your music playlist. Overall, a very disappointing movie for me. The early press were hyping it as Spielberg's best movie in the past 2 decades. Seriously? I think these people need to get their heads examined. I would rather and happily sit through Munich, Warhorse, Bridge of Spies and The Post than watch Disclosure Day, which I'm in no rush to see again for a few years. I'm actually pretty annoyed it's turned out this bad. I think moving forward, Spielberg needs to stop working with David Koepp, as in my eyes he is not doing Steven any favours. If you are intrigued by the film's premise and you are a fan of Spielberg, wait for it to come out on streaming. There is no reason to see this on the big screen, because it doesn't have the spectacle to warrant that big screen experience. Certainly don't waste your money on an overpriced IMAX ticket, considering none of the film was shot on that format. Maybe in my mind I was expecting a different film. Were my expectations set a bit too high perhaps? But even so, this film could have surprised me and done something completely above and beyond what I wanted, or perhaps expected, but it didn't. It actually delivered a bit of a dud, making it one of Spielberg's weaker efforts in recent years. David Koepp had to produce 42 drafts to finally end up with the finished script, which is crazy to know. That to me just showcases a messy journey, with the end result being a tired old chase movie with ideas that have been explored many times before. As they say, you can't make a good movie out of a bad script, and that's the core issue of Disclosure Day. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to click the like button and hit the bell to be notified of my latest reviews. Big thanks to my patrons and YouTube members for supporting the channel. If you want to get involved and gain access to exclusive videos and take part in Q&As, follow the link below.